Vice President Kamala Harris proposing an increased capital tax gain of 28% for Americans earning $1 million or more, although there have been some questions about whether it's actually 33% when you include some other taxes that are built into that. If you would go ahead with the rates on some other issues to build it to 5%. That's what Robert Frank was talking about with us earlier, and we're still trying to figure out the details. At a rally in New Hampshire, though, Harris also told supporters that she would push for an expanded tax break for new small businesses, 10 times the current amount. Joining us right now to talk about the VP's emerging economic proposals is Colorado Democratic Governor Jared Polis. And, Governor, thank you for being with us today.
A pleasure.
Why don't we talk through these economic pieces that we're starting to see a little meat on the bones around some of these things. What did you feel about the increased focus for small businesses and entrepreneurs?
Well, first of all, it's exciting to see that really one of Kamala Harris's first significant breaks from the Biden administration is in a pro-growth, pro-entrepreneurship direction. Really the way she talks about the value of entrepreneurship, the broad national goal of 25 million new companies, but more substantially increasing the deduction for new startups from $5,000, which is really a joke. I mean, nothing costs $5,000 to $50,000 to help encourage the risk takers out there to start tomorrow's small company, which may be the next week's large company. Really talking about value creation. And it's really the way she frames it as the opportunity economy. You work hard, you have a great idea, you take risks, you get ahead. I think that's a welcome break from the Biden administration policies, and we can build upon the success and really create a better future.
In terms of the long-term capital gains, that's a big break with the Biden administration as well. Instead of going to the 44% that Biden had proposed, she's now talking about people making $1 million or more paying 28%. But there is some confusion about the net investment income tax and whether that would be raised to 5%, making that total tax 33%. Do you know any of the details around that?
Well, I saw her roll out, again, the 28% rate, a welcome break from 44%. You know, a Goldman Sachs analysis showed that Donald Trump's tariff tax plan would decrease GDP by 0.5%. One of the big differences between a tariff tax and a tax on capital gains or profits is that tariffs are a tax on gross, right? Whether you're making money or not, that 20% tax, at times 10% to 20% on gross, on everything, every item that's imported, is a huge drain on the economy, on the way that a smaller tax on net can never be. And so that's really fundamentally why Kamala Harris's economic policies are much more pro-growth than Donald Trump. And I'm excited to see the break from the policies of the Biden administration, which they've always put out there, right? They've never passed Congress. I don't think anybody seriously thought the capital gains tax would be anything like 35, 40, 44%. But, you know, the fact that Joe Biden was talking about it was always a drain on his credibility for those of us who value growth.
Hey, Governor, one of the conversations we were having earlier this morning with Mark Cuban was just the timing with which we're going to hear more about the details of all of the plans and proposals and policy issues that the vice president is running on. And unfortunately, thus far, they've been short on details. And one of the things that Mark said was, he said, look, she's just jumped into the race. You got to give her time. And I think the question for a lot of voters is how much time? Which is to say we're, 2 months out from the election. When do you think that the American public needs to or should know about all these policies in detail so that we're not debating whether it's 28% or it's really 33% or there really is a tax on unrealized gains or there isn't, et cetera?
Well, look, I think that you can learn a lot from the way that she's prioritized the policies she has. So first one out of the door, housing. One of the biggest costs the American people have, removing barriers to housing, building 3 million new homes, getting rid of bureaucracy and red tape, allowing builders to build. Second, economic policy, right? For the first time, really distancing herself from what President Biden put out there for a number of years, saying we need more pro-growth economic policy. More than that, we need economic policy that encourages risk-taking and entrepreneurship and capital formation. And I'm excited to see those two as some of the first out the gate. Of course, people know where she stands on choice, where she stands on other important issues with a long track record. But I'm excited to see the new ideas about how we can encourage entrepreneurship and growth.